That's right, you geeks. Welcome into the Echo screen. Forgot the rest of the thing. All right. First off, you might notice that my video is not working if you're watching on the YouTubes. That is some technical difficulties that I don't want to waste time trying to fix right now. So you got audio, and that's all you really need. Secondly, welcome to our cold open episode of Echo Screen Live, something we've been talking about for a little while, where we basically just start the episode and start talking about whatever we want because we're ridiculous, nerdy geeks, and we have all sorts of ridiculous conversations, and we thought it'd be fun to just kind of have a free-form conversation that we might normally have on any normal day or night. Whatever. Anyway, so in the fashion of a cold open, I am now going to cold open call the Commodore. Here he comes. Any minute now. See, he's going to ignore me this once. Just to show me and show me a lesson. This is great pod, folks. Talk about technical difficulties. Oh, that ass. All right, fine. I'm going to just keep talking. So I hate this guy. I hate him. Had no problems calling before.
That's right, you geeks.
You're such a major fail.
I know. So I clicked answer, and as soon as I did it, the whole program crashed.
We are completely off the rails.
This program, yeah,
we're completely off the rails now, folks.
Off the rails. What did you expect with the cold open show?
Yep, immediate garbage. So, okay, here's something I want to talk about.
Oh.
First off, I know you want to get into Westworld, and I'm going to say, let's hold that till the end, in case there are people who do not want to be spoiled.
No.
Too late.
Screw them.
Too late. We're going to save it to the end. All Westworld talk till the end.
So you already explained to the peoples how the cold open is going to work?
I did the whole thing.
Okay, good.
And then we listened.
Thing's done. We're good.
We listened to your end of Skype ringing for like a whole solid minute, which was great.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you want me to do here?
That's what it is. Now, here's what I just got finished watching.
Okay.
The 4-part epic miniseries crossover event on
Twin Peaks.
No, I still haven't seen Twin Peaks.
I can't believe you haven't watched a single episode of Twin Peaks.
Shut up. This is more important.
Okay.
The CW superhero DC crossover event.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this?
No.
No. Okay, first off, have you never seen an episode of The Flash? Seriously? On CW?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, that's what you need to watch. Forget Twin Peaks.
Don't. I do not need to do that.
Yeah, you do. You got nothing else going on.
In 20 years, no one will remember that The Flash was a TV show. And you can't even watch an episode of Twin Peaks.
First off, I remember that The Flash was still a TV show in 1990. That was a pretty good show.
That's a reach.
That was a pretty good show. That was the first time I was exposed to The Flash.
When you say
know what
it
I
was
mean.
A good show.
Yeah.
You mean it was passable television that didn't make you fall asleep.
It was sometimes
it was not a good show.
I was a kid. It was pretty good
exactly.
superhero show for 1990. What the heck else? What was also in the night? Briscoe County Jr.?
The Mantis. I don't know if you remember that show. That was pretty good. The Mantis was right after The Flash. I remember what you're talking about. I remember watching it.
So
I wanted that show to be good. I was a kid. I wanted it to be good.
The current Flash is way awesome. And so you got the Flash, you got Arrow, which I don't really watch, but it's a thing. You got Legends of Tomorrow, which is like a superhero team-up show of all sorts of B-list DC superheroes, celebrities.
That sounds hideous.
I've watched a few episodes. It's not great. But then you got Supergirl, which is also not great. But it just moved from CBS to CW, so it can join in all the fun, too. And they had a big crossover event, and it was all sorts of goofy fun. It was a lot of... It's like basically all the stuff the DC movies are not, which is fun and campy and silly. And good.
Yeah.
So it's very amusing. Actually, no, I was gonna make a comparison to Marvel, where it's like, oh, the Marvel movies are good and TV sucks, but actually no, the Marvel TV stuff is actually pretty good too. So
yeah, but
never mind.
Can somebody answer this fundamental question for me? Why are they still making superhero stuff?
Because it sells.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really selling?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, I don't just mean like, I mean, obviously, Netflix had some surprise hits on their hands with Jessica Jones?
Really, all the Netflix Marvel stuff.
Yeah, the Netflix. I'm talking specific to like properties though. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone 5 years ago would have thought, you know, what's going to do great on Netflix as an original series? Jessica Jones.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
What the hell is that? You know,
you're right about
it. Or Luke Cage. Right. You know, even Luke Daredevil made people laugh because everyone thought about the Ben Affleck thing.
Right.
Anyway, but the point, I mean, Doctor Strange just became like the biggest solo. I think it was like the biggest solo superhero opening weekend for Marvel, or even total. I can't recall. Yeah.
Well, those are movies. That's different than TV. You're talking about a TV show.
What doesn't matter. It's media. Everyone keeps talking about superhero fatigue, but it still sells. I think it was the. I just recently saw something from the a video from the Red Letter Media guys where they were talking about Batman versus Superman, you know, in the top 10 for grossing for the year, which you know, it does not surprise anyone, but it's like the like one of the, it's probably the highest grossing movie that literally nobody liked, you know. But people went and saw it just because, like, well, it's Batman, Superman. I know this is going to be terrible, but I got to see it. So
yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I mean, I have superhero fatigue in things like TV. I can understand going to see a movie, but I can't watch superhero TV. I'm kind of done with that.
It's silly fun, and like I said, like I don't really watch Arrow. No, actually, I've never seen an episode of Arrow.
I've seen an episode of Arrow, but that was way back when it started, because it's been out for a couple seasons now.
Like 5, I want to say.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. I watched it when it first came on, and it just did not strike me as anything worth watching long term.
But The Flash is actually really good. I would suggest that, and that is what I watch when I have chance. And then there's pretty much all the Netflix Marvel stuff. I think it's proven itself enough to me that I'm excited enough to at least give those a shot. Plus I can binge them, which is easier.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And then pretty much all the Marvel movies. Again, that's another thing where it's like Marvel as a movie studio has a good enough track record that I am pretty confident whatever they put out at this point, in 5 years, this might not be the case. But at this point, if I sit down to watch a Marvel movie, I think I'm going to be entertained in one way or another.
Yeah, sure.
So like,
and that's what they're made for. They're made to be entertaining, and I think they are that. They're doing that job.
Have you seen Doctor Strange? Can't recall.
I haven't seen Doctor Strange. No.
Like that. That's something I know nothing about. The whole magic, mysticism,
it actually
whatever.
Seems like kind of an antiquated. Well,
it's like I don't even know.
Anachronism of a character in some ways.
Yeah, it's basically based off of like weird, trippy 60s and 70s drug trip culture or something like that. Loosely, I should say. But, you know, it was still very entertaining. And then we'll look at what they got coming up next. They got the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which you know is going to be a hit.
Yeah.
Based off of the surprise hitness of the first one.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man Homecoming, which everyone looks really excited for. And then around the corner you have Infinity War, which is Avengers Infinity War, which is going to be just huge. Like that's what everything's been building up to basically since Iron Man. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I like superhero movies. I can still see. There's too much good TV. Can we talk about that? Let's move to that one. There's too much good TV out right now. Yes. If you really wanted to, unless you did absolutely nothing else.
If you use this to pivot to a Westworld, I'm going to slap you.
I'm not.
Okay.
If you did absolutely nothing, you didn't have a job.
Who told you?
And all you did was sit and watch TV. You still couldn't get through all the good TV that's out there right now.
Yeah, it's really
staggering.
I've heard people refer to this. We've talked about this before, like the second golden age of TV or the platinum age or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
This isn't new to a new discussion for us, but just like TV is amazing right now.
Yeah, TV's amazing. It's where all of the creative people in Hollywood are flocking to. They're flocking to TV because it's where you can really express yourself creatively. And so in a similar vein to something like Westworld, we have like True Detective, for example, which was such a huge show in season 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard that really fell off in season 2 though.
Season 2, but the reason why is because it was rushed into production, right? And they lost a key part of the partnership that made the first season really, really good. And so what ends up happening is, even though it was very ambitious, even though it was written by Nick Pizzolatto, the brilliant writer of the first series, even though it had all those kind of pieces in place, it just couldn't live up. What I think we also might see now is a little bit of the breaking of the traditional series or seasons of TV. Similar in some ways to what The Walking Dead does, but now, I mean, think about it. You just named the upcoming Marvel movies. Movies are very different to produce, right? Because they take a long time. Even though they're only 2.5 hours of programming, right? Usually max to keep a general audience satisfied. It takes 2 years to get a movie out, right? Between movies.
Yeah.
So, Westworld is in some ways starting a trend that I think HBO is going to be taking with True Detective as well, which is take your time, get it right. Make it, don't cut any corners here. We're not going to speed something out to market. Do what you got to do to make it good, artistic, fun TV. And
you're right. A lot of TV shows are doing that now. Westworld's not coming back till 2018 for its second season. That's more than the year break. Doctor Who has a lot of people wouldn't necessarily call Doctor Who high cinema or high television, but but still, that's taking a whole year off. Yeah. It's going from Christmas special, and then the next episode is going to be another Christmas special, and then it will do a regular season, which is not unheard of for that show. But then again, it's Britain, and they do all sorts of weird things with their TV. They have like 3-episode seasons. So.
Series.
But Sherlock, same kind of thing. It's like they're not rushing that out. They want to make it quality. So I would prefer that over garbage. Have we talked before about things like Essential Star Trek? The Next Generation, where if you took a standard episode, the series Star Trek Next Generation, I think there were 178 episodes. They're not all good.
No. Especially earlier in the series.
Oh, especially earlier. But if you took each season and boiled it down to something modern, either a 10 to 13 episode, between a 10 and 13 episode season,
right,
and use that to expose someone to Star Trek Next Generation, I think it would cut out separate a lot of the wheat from the chaff, and make it more palatable to someone who's like, I would like to get into this, but I don't want to spend 178 hours catching up.
Yes.
When I can watch something like Battlestar Galactica, which I love Next Generation, but I think we can agree Battlestar Galactica overall is a better drama.
I haven't finished it, interestingly, but it's kind of a complicated story. My wife was pregnant while it was going.
No excuses.
She was like vomiting as I hit pause. She go, then she come back, and there's like bad memories with it, so she doesn't want to watch it anymore. So I have to watch it by my own, which it's kind of a limiting factor. I'll be honest, I was getting a little tired of it there too. I wasn't really. It was just, I think, starting to get really, really good, but it's just kind of a confluence of things. It's all about timing.
Regardless, the entirety of Battlestar Galactica is way less than 178 episodes. I think it was. I don't know off the top of my head. And even it had a little bit of filler in there, but I'm going to say it was at least half that. But regardless,
there was the Nikki and Paolo episode of Lost.
Oh God.
Which was complete filler.
But I thought it was funny looking back, actually.
Of course, it's funny. My point is, I am not caught up on The Walking Dead by a week. But 2 weeks ago,
I'm really tired of Walking Dead, but yes, go ahead.
So 2 weeks ago was a very tiring episode. It was very, I don't know. It was a difficult episode to get into a flow. It felt like it broke the flow of everything that's happening around with all the other characters. It felt like a Nikki and Paolo episode for The Walking Dead.
It felt like a Nikki and Paolo season, basically.
Well, I can't say that because
it's like
there's
kicking
a lot
a
of
dog
stuff
and constantly kicking it, and it's just
Yes.
like so. Okay, we get it. Things are bad.
It's Ramsey Bolton, right?
It is. Yes.
It's Ramsey Bolton, but it's a. I when Negan first shows up and there's all this kind of stuff going on and it's all bad. It's like, okay, Negan bad, get it, totally get it, evil dude, blah blah blah. Now maybe he's got some enduring quality, okay, but he's really he's a crappy guy, right? Understood. Don't need to cover that again.
And I like the character. I have no problem with the character even.
Do you mean the character? Okay, the character. Or you don't mean the actor. You don't mean Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Both.
Yeah, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And as Negan, other than the comedian in Watchmen, I think this might be the best part I could imagine him playing because he's just perfect for it. But you're right. The character makes sense to me. But it almost seems. I know we're talking about a comic book source here, which apparently, by the way, the comic books meander and slow down in similar ways to the TV show.
Sure.
So we're dealing with source material here that's not necessarily the most riveting stuff every single.
It's kind of like us talking right now.
What do you mean?
We just meander everywhere.
All right, this is good. This is the cold open show. This is what we're supposed to do. But in the midst of great TV, I am lost, no pun intended, with The Walking Dead right now. I'm kind of close to being ready to walk away.
Walk away dead.
Walking dead. I'm the Walking Dead of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead has not been anywhere close to my favorite. Actually, it's never been my favorite show, but. No. It's been like okay TV for a very long time to me. It's just like I'll catch up to it when I can.
And it has that dubious distinction of being really frigging popular. So then you get Chris Hardwick being annoying after every episode, and you have not that I necessarily have anything against Chris Hardwick. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but I just he is. There is this thought process around what it is to be nerdy and what it is to be popular, and when those things come together, bad things like The Big Bang Theory happen, right? And I don't mean like the thing, The Big Bang Theory. I mean the program, the CBS television show, The Big Bang Theory, which I absolutely can't stand, right? But it's insanely popular, and people just get these ideas about, well, if you watch this, you must be that. And I just think that's so ridiculous. So
something that the chat was talking about was how they just talking about all sorts of stuff. But one of the things they brought up was, what are people actually watching these TV shows on? We mentioned Netflix. A lot of the stuff is on traditional channels, but there are really viable ways. You don't need a cable subscription anymore. I think you still have one.
I do, and I love it. And I probably will continue to until live sports is available.
Well,
legally.
The thing is that that's starting to turn a corner, and I think it's turning a corner faster as ESPN loses subscribers at an alarming rate. I see news articles all the time now about how they've lost this many million subscribers per year.
Yeah.
And not only that, but NFL football. The thing is scrapping Thursday night football due to lack of interest, basically.
Yeah. Well, oversaturation of the.
Yeah. That's what I meant. But
after they already ditched the 9:30 morning games from London.
I know, right? We could have a whole non-Clan of the Grey Wolf oriented podcast episode on the overinflation of sports and money in sports and how it might have overextended its reach. But that's for a different time.
Yeah. That's a different era.
That's a different show entirely. But what I think is interesting is there are multiple ways now to stream ESPN without a cable subscription. You can get Sling at $20 a month, and you get a bunch of channels, including ESPN, ESPN2, and then there's the new DirecTV Now service from AT&T, which is very similar to Sling, a little bit more expensive with a little bit more channels. But again, you don't need a subscription service like a TV.
How do I handle multiple TVs with that? You just buy multiple Slings.
I think you can upgrade by getting a more expensive package.
Can I flip channels with that, or do I have to like? Is it like the old streaming devices where you like hit a button and then it spins up and then goes? So here's an interesting thought, right?
Not sure what you mean by that.
So one of the reasons cable, I think, by and large, still does well is because really, when you think about it, they're broadcasting all of these channels in HD simultaneously to your house, and you sit there and hit a button, and you flip up and down, and it's immediately there, right?
Yeah.
In high definition. With a stream, it's very difficult to do that, right? So I go, okay, I want to watch the whatever network. Boop.
Yeah, that's what it does.
And then the stream comes up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you go, oh no, I want to check to see what's on the History Channel. Why would I ever do that? I don't know. But let's see what's on the boop. And then the stream starts, right? And that would get old for me in a real hurry. Anybody out there use this stuff? Can verify if that's the way it is, because that's the impression that I get on it. And I'm one of those people that hogs the last button.
Oh,
one of the key reasons I still have Comcast is because they have on the X1 platform, you can hit the last button. It brings up the last 10 things you've watched. So you could literally, instead of just hitting the last button to go channel to channel, you can just sit there and go like channel to movie you were in the middle of. You can go to channel to 4 channels ago and flip between all that different stuff, which is great because then you never have to watch commercials, which is fantastic. That is worth its weight in gold right there. And it doesn't weigh anything because it's a software feature, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think,
pay for that is what I'm saying.
I think they're working on things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
My point is it's not there. But your point is that it's coming.
Yes.
This is the era of the cable cutters, and it's just a matter of time until the maturity of those platforms, rises to a level that competes in a meaningful way with cable.
Yes, and the thing is that a lot of that is not technology driven. It's the shackles to the old system that still exist. For example, I tried out DirecTV Now because they had a free week, right? Because my girlfriend, for whatever reason, really needed to see the Dolly Parton Christmas special last Wednesday.
I felt the same way.
And I'm like, fine. That's on NBC. The
NBC is free over the air.
It is, except I wasn't picking it up very well. For some reason lately, the NBC, I used to be able to pick it up perfectly fine. I don't know if something happened with the antenna tower or whatever. ABC, CBS, perfectly fine. The NBC station is not coming in well. Anyway.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm like, hey, that's fine. DirecTV Now, they have NBC. Yeah. So I do NBC, I sign up and I want to stream it to the Chromecast.
Okay.
No option to stream to the Chromecast. I'm like, I go to ABC. Yeah, okay, I can stream that. NBC. Nope, you do not have rights to play this live.
Yep. Sorry,
over
Dolly.
your Chromecast, because I don't know why. Well, it has something to do with licensing fees and this, that, and the other, but it's complete garbage. So you know what I wound up doing? I just wound up pirating it the next day. Yeah. So what the hell?
Which makes you the only person in the world that pirated the Polly Darton Christmas special.
The Polly Darton?
I have done that ever since I was a kid. Did you ever watch so on like Sesame Street, they'd have the Polly Darton? Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, so they couldn't say Dolly Parton, but they had a country singing pig, and they called her Polly Darton. You remember that?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's great. I'll go find a video and I'll send it to you. Anyway, ever since then, I have called her Polly Darton. Sorry. Before I saw Star Wars, I used to watch Muppet Babies. Kermit was Obi-Do-Kenobi. I thought in the movie it was
Oh.
Obi-Do-Kenobi. It's not. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I didn't know that because I'd never seen Star Wars. No?
That was an interesting insight
Hey,
into your mind there.
Another question. Polly Darden. There I go. Dolly Parton is still alive?
Nah, she is. She's a painted lady.
Lady. Hey, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I am considering, under your poor advice, I bought a Samsung phone, but it will be my first and my last phone.
Excuse me.
That was your advice. I took your advice.
That's old advice.
I know, but I took it. So I need you to own up to that. But here's the question I'm going to ask you. I am considering a upgrade.
Okay.
Probably in the January timeframe. Okay.
That would be next month, I believe.
That would be next month. So, eligible for refresh, all that kind of stuff. So here is what here are the factors I'm dealing with. Number one, I have two phones that I'm interested in right now.
Okay. Let me guess.
Go ahead.
The Pixel.
I'll give you partial credit.
Okay. The Pixel XL.
There you go. Okay. Yep.
Okay,
You win.
so
Okay.
Of course, the XL.
Yep.
Okay. The other one, this will be harder. If you're not a Samsung fan, I'm guessing you're not going with a Samsung, especially the Note 7. The LG V20.
Yes, the LG V20.
Yes.
The LG V20 is my second option.
Okay.
Big screen, same size as my Note 4, but it's actually slimmer and lighter. Great panoramic cameras. They got all those. There's all kinds of cool stuff that go on with the LG. I like the second screen. The second screen is kind of a cool thing to me.
Second screen or the
So it basically, if you look like up here, like where the bezel is on this phone, that is actually a screen.
I did not realize that actually.
It gives you notifications, or you can scroll through and just like quickly get on your flashlight without having to unlock the phone or anything like that.
Well, you don't have to unlock your phone to hit the flashlight on a.
If on an iPhone you don't.
Well, I was gonna say on a Nexus either. You know, I don't have to on mine.
I'll believe that when I can see it. I work for a company that
I can show you
every single thing. Do you have a remote lockdown policy on your phone?
What does that mean?
As in, if you enter the wrong key, you enter the wrong password on your phone, does it completely lock and wipe your phone?
Because my company says so?
Yes.
No, and that sounds horrible.
Okay, well, that's where I am at. So I have to unlock my phone to put on my flashlight. Trust me.
Okay.
So the factors I'm dealing with. I have made the mistake of not buying the Nexus in the past, and I regretted it big time.
Yep.
The Pixel is the new Nexus. The LG V20, I've actually held them both in my hand. I kind of like the V20 better, to be honest.
Okay.
But I've also heard LG is not the most reliable phone company. So I'm not sure about that either. All right, here's some other market pressures. The S8 from Samsung is coming out in probably February. And in March, it sounds like HTC is going to be releasing the HTC 11, which will have an XL, potentially an XL version, now codenamed the HTC Ocean. HTC is the company I've always bought phones from before I had this monstrosity.
But HTC is not the company it once was, though.
Well, pal, that Pixel I'm looking for was built by HTC, and I would have it.
It was built by HTC, but Google designed it.
Yeah, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Designed by Google. Designed in Palo Alto, California, or wherever the hell Google is.
But you know what happened with all their hardware partners whenever somebody made a Nexus. They brought people on site to Google and they did the same thing.
View. No, it was different.
Yeah, whatever. Same thing.
Different.
Point is
there even LG? Is there even HTC branding on the Pixel?
Yeah, not on the Pixel, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No. But
they're an OEM. They're basically they're Foxconn. They're
right. Which is what they should be. I mean, I think if Google wanted to buy them and continue to make their own phones, I mean, I was reading something the other day. They're going to make $4 billion with that phone in revenue. I mean, that's pretty staggering. Considering.
I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, the iPhone is like multiple times that.
Yeah.
Like times 20, but whatever. iPhone's its own ridiculous thing. They make so much profit off of those things.
So the best phone before the Pixel, in my mind, for Android users was the Nexus 6P.
Mm-hmm.
I will never buy a device made by Huawei, ever.
Wow, you're so racist.
It's more about nationalist. I don't like feeding money to the Chinese army.
Well,
But right, HTC is a Taiwanese company.
sure.
Samsung's a Korean company, and I have no I by and large buy Samsung products. I won't buy a Samsung phone anymore. I don't like the software.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that got me away from it too.
Yeah, the software just drives me crazy.
Here- Okay.
It's between those two. If anybody thinks that they have an opinion here, I'd love to hear it, because I am very much leaning toward the Pixel for the experience. I'm very much leaning toward the V20 as kind of the cool factor and the it kind of phone for me.
I will say this just from my limited experience with the phones that you are discussing.
Yes.
In terms of hardware, they're all fairly similar. Probably the V20 is better. I can't, obviously, I don't know much about the Galaxy 8 or the HTC.
Which we don't know yet. Yeah, but that's my point. You always have the pressure of other things are coming out. That's always going to happen in technology.
Right. What I will say, though, having had a Nexus 6 for over a year now.
Yeah.
Which is now over a 2-year-old phone.
Yes.
Having the software support and no bloatware has made me a convert to whatever phone Google is producing.
Right. You're absolutely right. And the Google ecosystem
that would push
grows.
That would push me toward the Pixel.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And with the Google Assistant?
Google Assistant, I don't care about.
Until you start using it. I got a Google Home.
No, I don't use Google. I don't use Google for my calendar. I don't use Google for my email.
You don't use Gmail?
I mean, I use Gmail, but it's for my personal email, which I use for nothing except for buying stuff. So, who talks on email anymore?
Me?
No, you don't.
No.
You're a liar. But anyway,
not to change the subject, but I did get a Google Home during Black Friday.
Yeah, why? What do you? So let me ask you a question. So your girlfriend lives in your house.
True statement.
She wants to be able to go in and get some details about her day.
Uh-huh.
How does that happen on a Google Home?
Well, luckily she doesn't have the technical capability or wherewithal to care about stuff like that.
This is a speaker that you talk to, and it talks back to you.
You know what she can do?
Ability to do that? Is that what you're saying?
She can say, "Hey Google, how old is Dolly Parton or Polly Darton?" And it'll say, "Polly Darton is 70."
Polly Darton is a made up character from Sesame Street.
Although, also unrelated, but I got her Nexus 5X as an early Christmas gift.
It's a good one.
And she loves it.
Yeah, Nexus 5X is
super good. Anyway, and it was really cheap. Anyway,
this is my problem with the Home. I can't get with the Home until they enable multiple accounts.
Yeah.
Because it's not a home device.
Okay.
They should just call it Google Mobile Account.
Fair enough.
That's what it is.
Fair enough. There's a lot that it still needs to do, and you know what? I'm sure it will.
I hope so.
I mostly got it as an impulse.
You realize it's like a Chromecast wrapped in a couple speakers.
Which I'm fine with. Because I'm all in on the Google ecosystem.
Well, I have to be now, yeah.
But I also I got a few smart devices as well, so I can just have it say like, hey, like she's saying in the chat, turn on the Christmas tree, turn on this light, and it does it. I know you have smart lights, and you can't tell me that it's not a lot nicer, like to just say, oh, hey Google, turn that light on. It's like living in Back to the Future too. You know,
it really is. My problem again, though,
if I'm pulling out my phone and
what
hitting
if it's not me that says it? What if it's somebody else that says it? Is it going to recognize their voice the same way it recognizes mine?
Yeah. Oh, actually, the voice recognition is amazing, and it hears me all over the first floor, even partially on the second floor, and I only have one. So the technology is pretty amazing. Certainly not up to its full potential, but I'm excited to see where it's going. So
yeah. Okay, I mean, I'm with you there. The rest of the ecosystem, is what really I'm excited about, because if you buy a Pixel, you get the unlimited photo storage.
Yes, you get the extra Google
unlimited
goodies.
full quality 16 megapixel photo storage,
16-bit gems? What?
16-bit gems. When's the next 16-bit gems?
Shut up.
So that's really cool. The idea of having the VR thing, which I'd probably do. Robber outside your house. Is that what you're reading?
Yeah. DJ Seth, that robber outside your house. Hey Google, unlock the doors.
But I love it. I love how it's, hey Google, unlock the doors. Like that's what makes it for me.
Okay, sorry.
So I like the VR thing. I think I'm going to be getting some stuff in the near future, whether I buy it or it's gifted to me, that has Google Chromecast built in, which is their new kind of branding around.
Well, Google Home is their new branding, or Home.
But no. Chromecast built in is the new official.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
talked about building
yes.
Chromecast stuff, audio or video, into devices.
Yeah.
Without having like a smart TV, right? So, I'm kind of all in on Google too. I'm even thinking about spending the whatever it is, $10 a month to go to, just do the Google Play Music, 40 million songs. Never run out of music.
Did you
never download an MP3 for the rest of my life?
Did you get the or did you see the deal during Black Friday where you could get 4 free months of YouTube Red and Google Play Music?
So that's the other thing, which is cool. I mean, the YouTube Red thing.
I've been trying that out. It's not bad.
The YouTube Red thing was what makes it even better in my mind, because if you spend the $8 on Amazon, you get the same number of songs as Google Play Music has, and it's Amazon, right? Which is great. You get it on Spotify. Spotify has a fraction of the number of songs that Google Play and Amazon have. But if you do Google Play Music, you pay the $10 a month, but you get all the Google Play Music, which has the most songs out there. Plus, it also gives you full access to YouTube, which has every other song ever made.
Yes, and you can use YouTube as a music playlist, which let's be frank, is one of the best uses of YouTube nowadays.
It really is.
I haven't needed to download an MP3 since practically college days because of the free and open access you can find of any song you want on places like YouTube.
Right. Now the audio quality might suck, but there's some good, but this is my point. It's coming around, right? Yeah. It really is coming around. This is where I see things pivoting, which is kind of pushing me toward the Pixel, because it's an ecosystem. It's not just having a great phone. It's a full ecosystem around the Pixel and around, like you were saying, the Assistant, all this other kind of stuff. Not stuff I'm necessarily using, but stuff that is really, really cool.
It's not stuff that you think you're going to use, but you know what? I think you're going to use it more than you think you will. The main thing I don't like about the Pixel, it's in style, it's basically an iPhone, which I don't like. I wish it was a little bit more innovative, but whatever. I mean, it seems like a very solid phone, and the software, immediate updates and all the extra little Google goodies really make it for me. Have you had a chance to use Google Duo or Allo yet, by the way?
I use Duo.
I don't think anyone uses Allo.
Use Allo, yeah.
But yeah, Duo is pretty decent, actually.
I think Duo is great. It's certainly better than Hangouts.
Yeah. And then I think Techie in the chat was saying a while ago is that people like us, if we wanted to, we could root any phone, and put on something like Cyanogen Mod.
Yeah.
Which is true, and I've done in the past, but I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
Because
you don't need to.
I don't really need to, and I don't even really want to bother with it anymore. I kind of want to just buy a phone and not have to micromanage all the software on it, if that makes sense.
Well, the issue was that the upgrade cycles before, particularly in Android, were horribly slow and were extremely limited, because this was back when everybody was making a phone, and you'd buy an Android phone for $50 at the store, you know what I mean, that had branding you'd never even heard of before. And so if you wanted to upgrade to the newest versions of Android, you really either had to wait a long time, or you would be waiting forever and it would not come out. They would wait you out until you bought another phone. So rooting and which root access is cool, for a lot of reasons. But putting on the new version of Android, customized versions of Android, that was awesome. That was a cool moment. I had a buddy of mine, the pizza guy. Many of you know from marathons in years past. We were.
That's going back, but going back.
Oh yeah, we were
cut.
actually waxing nostalgic about this very recently, about the times where we got together and he rooted his phone, I rooted my phone. He thought he bricked his phone for about an hour, and he's sitting there just like sweating it out, going crazy trying to fix it. And mine like worked right off the bat. And here I am like with my new version of Android, just friggin' cruising, stable. Everything was wonderful on it. And he like thought he bricked his phone, but it was a really fun thing to do because, we took like a Saturday afternoon. We said, okay, if we break these phones, we broke them, we'll just buy new ones. And there it is. But those days are gone. I loved it. The first time I felt like I had bought a phone where I didn't need to do that. That was a very good thing.
Yes, and I think it was the Note 2, which was a very, very solid phone for quite a while until it randomly stopped working one day. Great.
Yes.
I mean, it's 3 years into its life cycle, which is longer than most people do for phones, but whatever. But I got the phone and I was thinking about rooting it. And I was like, even with TouchWiz, which is garbage, especially older TouchWiz, I was like, I'm really okay with this, and I'm okay with. There's also a lot of things with rooting now where you can kind of inherently break certain things that you might want it to work with, especially Google services, and I just don't want to bother with that. Yeah. Or I should say I don't want to risk it. Right. So. But anyway.
Yeah. Hey, I can't believe those Nintendo retro cart things are still so sold out. Can you believe that?
I am glad you brought that up because I was thinking about that too, about bringing it up.
Did you get one?
No, I didn't. I can't remember if I said this last time. I would probably get a Super Nintendo one.
Oh yeah, that's good. I think
which I think Nintendo, they will do next year if they're smart.
If they're smart, and I think they are. I think they're coming around. I think they're acknowledging this marketplace is here, and they're doing it. They're going to get it done.
They did the classic Nintendo mistake of completely underestimating the market, though.
Right. And they'll lose a lot of money over that. But at the same time, I talk to people that I work with who don't necessarily want to play these things, but they just want to buy them for their kids, and they literally cannot find them anywhere.
I was talking to someone who has a kid just entered college, like 18, 19 years old, wasn't even alive when Nintendo NES was really a thing. He wants one for Christmas, and his dad is like, he's like asking me because he's like, he knows I do YouTube stuff sometimes, and he's like, do you have any like inside channels or anything? I'm like, no, sorry. I was like,
sold out.
And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I found out that Urban Outfitters was supposed to be selling some today for a few minutes. I'm like, Urban Outfitters? What the?
Yeah. Okay. Urban Outfitters was selling some, and the parent says, I heard the same story, and so it was like sold out in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. So, and the sad thing is a lot of them are going to resellers, but
yeah, I mean, I've seen them on Craigslist and stuff, and I don't want one. I don't care about it, but it's just I just check Craigslist every once in a while to see the crazy shit that people are selling, and lo and behold, $200, $500. I've seen it for $150.
I'm gonna check because I'm curious.
It's just insane.
eBay.
But you know what? It's great to see the retro game revolution taking off, because I think people really do have a lot of deep love for these old games that have a lot of character, a lot of heart, and they were part of the revolution in video gaming that got it from something that people did with a computer to being something that you could put in your home, and which is really the reason that all of us are here on this program right now.
Yes, and the thing is, the NES will always be the classic video game system that everyone will fondly look at, everyone, quote unquote, will most fondly look back on, which is like why
my 8-do controller, which is modeled like the NES controller.
But you have people looking back who have probably not even touched video games since the NES, who are like, $60 and it gets 30 games. Hey, I actually remember some of these games. Right. Yeah, I'll get that. And that's why, and that's one of the things Nintendo will always have on other companies that it needs to leverage well. And it might, I don't know, I don't know how the Switch is going to do. It's really too early to say, but they might be able to help leverage some of this even into the Switch. I'm going to bring this up right now over your face for a second, but I got this. Okay. I got eBay up.
Yep.
It seems like they're averaging $160 to $180 right now on eBay, which is a little bit lower than that used to be. I like this
$100 convenience fee.
You can't see this one, but someone $6,000 or best offer. The title is Be a Baller, Nintendo NES Mini, brand new, free overnight shipping if you just pay $6,000.
Yeah, so, that might be worth it.
Good luck on that one. Sure. Good luck on that one, man.
Yeah. Anyway. What we talked about this last time. What do you think would be on there? So if you had to pick, if you picked one JRPG that would be on the Super Nintendo cart or the console, the mini console, what would it be? Would it be Would it be Final Fantasy 4?
No, it would not be 4. If I had to choose one.
So you think, but I mean, the obvious choice would be 6.
6 is my favorite, and I still think the best Final. 5. By the way, I haven't really been interested in a Final Fantasy game in years, but I've heard some pretty good things about 15.
Well, I was going to bring that up next. So
okay, so sorry, I'll get back to that.
Weak segment, yeah, but go ahead. Yeah. But would you? I guess is my point.
Maybe Chrono Trigger. I'm going to say Chrono Trigger.
I think Chrono Trigger might be the better option too. I was thinking that as well.
I mean, in a perfect world, it would have Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, and Earthbound. I think that's like the trilogy, the holy trilogy of Super Nintendo RPGs. But if I had to pick one, I think Chrono Trigger. That was like the traveling Wilburys of JRPGs.
Yeah.
This is a super group from both Enix and Square working together on that game. It's amazing.
Yeah, that game has as close to a flawless execution as I think you can get in a game from that generation. So apparently the new Final Fantasy game, which began
almost a decade in the making,
like a decade ago as a completely different game, has come to light, and it actually sounds like it's pretty daggum good.
Yeah. I just need a new console to play it on.
which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. There's some good deals on Black Friday. I was tempted, but I did not pull the trigger on a PS4 or an Xbone.
Here's what I'll do. I'll probably buy an Xbone when backward compatibility is such that I don't need a 360 anymore.
Good luck.
They've actually come out with a lot of good stuff. I mean, it's getting closer. I mean, the things that I'd have to have. I need all the Halo games. There's some Halo games right now, but not all of them. I need Grand Theft Auto. There's no backward compatibility with Grand Theft Auto right now.
Did you ever play Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah, I own it. It's phenomenal.
It's an excellent game, I thought.
Yeah, it's a great. It is what Grand Theft Auto should be in so many ways. Mm-hmm. They got away from themselves, I think, a little bit in 4. It became something very different than what it is. 5 is awesome. Mm-hmm. I need to be able to play Assassin's Creed because I have a couple of those guys.
I saw Assassin's Creed 3 is for free right now in Uplay.
Yes. So this is something else I was going to bring up. The free game deals, right? So I was thinking about doing that. I do these every once in a while, and it's good because sometimes I'll get a game I've never played before. Sometimes I'll get a game that I played a little bit of that I like, But then very recently, Good Old Games. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw this. They offer for free Neverwinter Nights.
Oh yeah,
for free. And I downloaded it, and I've been playing it because I have a Good Old Games account, but I don't buy stuff often. But
I buy something every once in a while and never play it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Right? So, but I downloaded it. I started playing it again, and man, that game is good. It's a good game. I mean, it's not a flawless game. It's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. But it's great to go back to Dungeons and Dragons 3. Because it was the first game.
Mm-hmm. That's
Baldur's Gate was based on AD&D.
Yeah.
And
janky rules.
Yep. And Neverwinter Nights, the claim to fame was that it was the first game based on D&D 3rd edition.
Yeah, because I remember we were playing. That's when we picked up Dungeons and Dragons that summer back from college. And when we weren't playing that, we were doing some Neverwinter Nights because
Right.
man, that was the summer of D&D fixes.
Yeah, it totally was.
By the way, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You need to give serious thought to going to Gen Con this coming year.
Oh.
50th anniversary. If you have one to go to,
Yeah, this is the one.
this is the one. I'm going. I'm going. I might even get a very important gamer package.
Oh.
Which means I get preferential treatment for hotel rooms and such. So,
Okay.
so if you want in,
Yeah. You better get on it.
let me know sooner rather than later. Just saying.
Yeah.
Putting you on notice in public here.
Yeah. So
I mean, I know the whole having two kids things. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I know, but yeah, it's fine. The here's the interesting thing that I was going to talk about with Neverwinter Nights. It's a game that I remember being harder than it actually is. I think part of that was because I didn't really understand the rules of D&D back then. So when I was like, and the funny, and so this is what I was going to talk about. Neverwinter Nights has 3 camera options. Okay, they have like the one they clearly designed the game with, an alteration of the one they designed the game with, and then the one that they say this is really crazy. You're probably not going to play with it, but try it. Okay. The first option is kind of the top down. You see the whole room, you move around the whole room, and you kind of move the camera and adjust just to see what's happening, right? The second version is one where the camera kind of auto moves in that top down, Okay.
Yeah.
The third option is what they call driver mode, where you're in the third person and you look behind your character and you just kind of walk with WASD. So in other words, it's third person perspective that is now the commonplace standard of every MMO that's ever been made, right?
Yes.
So I played a lot of MMOs since Neverwinter Nights came out because there really weren't many MMOs when Neverwinter Nights came out. So now I use the driving mode, right? You go through and it feels completely natural and completely perfect because of every MMO that's come out ever since then. That is such a little tiny design distinction that shows you how they were kind of thinking about playing the game before, how they thought you would play the game. You'd play it like a Dungeons and Dragons game. You're looking top down. You're controlling the action, right? You might zoom in or zoom out as you need it. You pause, whatever. I am playing the game in the third person mode now, and it's so much better. It's such a good game to play in that particular viewpoint, but that is a standard practice for MMOs or RPGs nowadays, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a game I haven't thought about in a while, but Neverwinter Nights really was a trailblazer in certain respects for things like that.
And the problem was I never played any of the expansions. And the cool thing about the Good Old Games giveaway was that it contained the Diamond Edition, so it's got all the expansions as well, which I'd never played. So I'm kind of excited to get through and maybe play some of those again because that's cool. But that goes to show you, right? This is, I mean, we're talking about a game from 2002, I think, 2001. So
yeah, even 15-year-old game.
Even playing games that are I would consider newer. I'm playing old games right now instead of the stuff that's brand new.
Good old games.
Good old games.
Okay, so before we get on to the Westworld talk, because
we have to.
Yeah. I know we didn't put out a call, but did anyone send any questions into you that you think we should discuss?
Yeah, we do. We definitely have questions. We got some good questions. Although there's not a ton of them, so we didn't put out a call, so we got what we asked for.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, so let's run through some of these questions. Anton asks over Twitter, with the rise of game schools, what ways would you improve the academic discourse of games as a whole?
Oh my.
Well, let me see about this. So there's kind of two different schools of thought here, right? So one is game schools that are teaching people how to join the gaming industry. These are places where you go to learn about design. You can go on to be a coder. You can go on to be an artist. You can go on to be a designer. You can go on to be all three and just kind of pick your path. Then there's kind of the other side of things, which is really the study of video games as an artistic medium, right? So If you go to film school, you can learn to be a film critic and never make a movie your entire life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of similar with video games. So when you talk about the academic discourse of video games as a whole, that's not really handled by and large by gaming schools. Gaming schools, by and large, are like the ITT Tech, which I know is out of business now, but they're like the ITT Tech of video games. You with me? You with me so far?
Yeah.
So the academic discourse around video games for me has nothing to do with a lot of those schools. It's not what their mission is. Their mission is to try to get people into the video game industry, and even if it's a scam, just to get people to come in and give them money, which I think a lot of them are, by the way. That's what they're selling to people. If you want to study video games, the better way, in my mind, is to read a lot. There's a lot of really great books about video games, a lot of really great books about video game theory, which is interesting, and then find people that have the same kind of interest you do and talk about it a lot. It's rare.
Sorry, what's rare?
It's good. It's rare to meet people that are really interested in those kinds of things.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, on the street it's rare, but there are lots of gatherings where you can do such things. Even places like PAX East, there are really whole panels kind of dedicated to good game design and things like that.
Yeah. And that's design. Again, to me, because the question was around the academic discourse.
Yeah.
And that design is one facet. But
yes. But I also mean like storytelling and
so one thing that really interests me is the apparatus of gaming, which is changing rapidly when you talk about VR and all these other kinds of things. It's changing the spaces we inhabit as a video gamer. If you think about so much research over the last 100 years has gone into the apparatus of narrative cinema, right? You go to a dark place, somebody puts on a projector, you have popcorn, you're sitting with people, and you watch a movie, right? Mm-hmm. Well, video games have an apparatus as well, right? There's some kind of control mechanism. You interact with what's going on the screen. You are trying to affect outcomes. You're trying to, there's usually win scenarios. It's a challenge to the game, right? All these things. These are things that interest me. If those kind of things interest you, that is what I think of as the academic discourse. Is how do video games work? And I don't mean, why are puzzles cool? I mean, what is it about Braid that makes it such a fantastic game? If you're interested in that kind of stuff, those are the kind of conversations that somebody that's interested in elevating academic discourse of video gaming would have. Not anybody that uses the word meh to describe the game as an adjective. It was meh. They're not interested in elevating the academic discourse of video games. Okay, and unfortunately, and I have to say this, and I hope I'm not offending anybody, but unfortunately, that's most of what's out there right now. If you turn on,
I think most people would agree with that, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you turn on 9 out of 10, if you search for video game videos right now, 9 out of 10 of them are going to be that level of discourse. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Just like with TV, even with the great golden age of television we just talked about. Just like books, just like music, just like everything, 9 out of 10 things out there suck. They're terrible. It's just the way that it works. But that 10% or that 1%, whatever, depending on what you're looking at, is really, really good. And I would ask you, and I would hope that you, to really elevate the discourse, you have to chase those things down. They're not easy to find. Let's move to another question. Oh, go ahead.
I got a question because it's our cold open show. Why not? So why not? But Techie in the chat just asked, and I'm curious to see what your answer is. He asks, any interest in the new MacGyver?
No.
Have you seen any of the new MacGyver?
No, because I have no interest in it.
Have you? Well, okay, fair enough. Have you seen the trailer for it? Okay, I saw the trailer. And that's all I've seen. I am a little morbidly curious to actually see an episode. But
you recently watched old MacGyver, though.
I did, which is not good.
No. It's not a good show.
But the new one, or at least maybe the trailer misrepresents. But the trailer made it look like a well, like a kind of a standard spy team show with a MacGyver, a very thin MacGyver foil on it. So,
Yeah.
meh.
Yeah. Not really.
Anyway, sorry.
Pa, 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 pa. Let's see. How about Lupacillo? With Switch opening the ninth generation of consoles,
Oh God.
will the others follow suit or try to build on their current hardware?
Yes and yes.
So you think they will follow suit? So there will be a ninth generation of consoles.
I think the whole console generation thing is falling apart a bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because,
that's why I think the question's almost flawed.
well, I think the question isn't flawed. I think the answer is just no. There isn't. It's not really going to be like traditional like anymore.
I agree with that.
You got the Switch coming out. You got the, I don't even know what the next, like the PS 4.5 or the Xbone 4K is all about. Yeah. But those just came out or are just coming out. I haven't even followed.
Right.
They're not going to come out with whole new consoles within the next year, or I would even say 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
It's the Wii U came out 2 years, I think, before the Xbox 4 or Xbone and the PS4.
Yeah, it was a very early entrant in the in the war there.
Not to mention the whole home entertainmentification of the Sony and Microsoft game consoles. It's just very different nowadays. I think Nintendo's going to do its own thing. Nintendo in particular is going to do its own thing, and probably should be just not even seen as the same, going after the same type of market.
It is. I think it's a completely different market. I mean, the most popular games on consoles right now have to be Call of Duty.
That's it.
I don't know what else is it? Titanfall, right? With which Titanfall 2. It's.
I'm starting to feel old. I was seeing something on r/games today talking about the PS4 and if now's a good time to buy it, and someone was saying like, yeah, I mean, you got all these games coming out in the next 6 months, and they listed off a bunch of games. I'm like, I don't know what any of those are.
Yeah,
and these are supposed to be big games. So like, gee,
right.
I am old now, or I'm just so not interested in what a standard console game on those consoles is anymore.
No, I agree with that. It's kind of funny because when we began the site, I mean, we were somewhat of, at least partially experts in the world of video game culture. And what's funny is now it's, to a certain extent, I know by name a lot of the games that are coming. I watch a lot of trailers, but I don't know really what they're all about. I don't play demos. There's really nothing like that.
Yeah. I mean, the things that people in the chat are mentioning right now, I know about and I've heard of. I mean, Overwatch, of course. That's like the biggest game of 2016. Battlefield 1. I would love to play Battlefield 1, actually, if I had a modern system. That would be one of the reasons. That seems really interesting to me, a World War I first-person shooter. But anyway.
But the marketing for it, all that kind of stuff is crazy. We mentioned Final Fantasy 15, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess for me, one of the reasons that console generations would slow down would be because of the desire for the biggest and best games out there. But I can't say that because people still want the biggest and best games out there. I don't, which is probably the reason I don't have one of those consoles. But the revolution in indie gaming, all those kinds of things, is actually a good reason to have a console now, because people actually do develop these games for consoles, and they're by and large cheaper than buying full-blown AAA titles. But is that enough to buy a console that originally costed $600 or whatever the heck it was? Now you can get them for $300.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I mean, it's up to the individual. PS4 just passed 50 million units, so a lot of people are buying them. So, anyway.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Link 2 asks, Pro Jared has D&D December. Do you have any memorable D&D stories? Do we?
Yep.
We do, but without probably, I don't know. Could we get into some of those without just going into the story of what was happening? I don't know.
I don't know. Which one in particular are you thinking of?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
I mean, there's lots. There's lots.
It's funny how vivid those things are. You know, here's one I thought of the other day. This is an interesting. So, the idea of how you spin up stories in your mind, and then they kind of live in that space, and then just kind of go on pause, and then you come back to them at some point, right? You know what name came to my mind randomly the other morning?
What's that?
This is gonna bring you back. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Raz.
Yes.
Raz.
That just popped in there.
It just popped in my head, and I was like, man, if the narrative chains in our mind that we played during D&D games were just sitting somewhere on a shelf, I will go the rest of my life not knowing where Raz was or how he did what he did to us in a game that you DM'd a long, long time ago.
Yeah, that was which I already mentioned. We've played a lot of D&D. There was this one summer, I think, after our sophomore year in college.
Yeah, probably think so.
That summer was basically most of it spent through many nights till dawn in your basement, your parents' house's basement, I should say, playing D&D. And I had a campaign going for most of that, where there was this recurring character named Raz, who's just a big pain in the ass, and he would get away. Tricked one of you into wearing magic boots of dancing that were cursed.
Yes.
To the point where by the time you guys eventually caught him around when you guys were like level 12 or something like that, you were basically killing him, bringing him back to life, and killing him just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was good stuff. I was actually going to say another story is from our later. So we have a group of friends that we've known for almost a decade now that we used to have weekly D&D sessions with.
And what's funny is playing Neverwinter Nights has made me think more about that.
Oh, yeah.
Because what I did this time was I created the character that I had in that game in Neverwinter Nights and D&D 3rd edition.
And yes, and it was actually amazing. We were able to meet, and these are like couples with children and grown ass responsibilities, able to meet weekly and play D&D for like 4 years straight at one point.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like one of us had a like literally one of the women had a child and was playing D&D within a week at the table. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But there was one point where there was a succubus or a half succubus who had lost some powers in the party, and the person playing that character doesn't, I guess, know very much about the whole how to seduce men type thing. But she was like trying to get some information from someone in a bar, and so the DM's like, "Well, role play. What are you going to say?" And she's I walk up to him and I say, "So, I see you're wearing pants." And that comes up constantly even today, and that was years and years ago because
I see you're wearing pants.
Such a random thing to say.
One of the other things I love about Dungeons and Dragons is that it brings out a lot of really interesting interaction with your friends. Yeah. And a lot of times when you're really, really tired or really, really inebriated, you just the most random. The other thing I thought about the other day was when you're like, really on Christmas, and you roll the red and green die. That is potentially the dumbest joke ever made at a Dungeons and Dragons table. It's the dumbest thing ever. I laughed out loud. I was actually emptying my dishwasher, and I laughed out loud because I was like, really on Christmas? I don't know why that was funny, but
that's the great thing about things like, or especially things like Dungeons and Dragons, because it requires that social interaction, and everyone who's played any amount really of D&D has their own stories that probably most other people don't even find funny.
No.
It's a you had to be there kind of thing, but those are the social bonds that are built that really kind of, I mean, obviously stick with you years and years later. It's a wonderful thing.
Little inside joke. All right, so Millennial Falcon asks, what are your most niche interests? For example, I am into competitive eating and the world's strongest man competitions.
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
No, you don't.
Damn it.
I like new age music. I enjoy it.
You and music in general is pretty niche.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
You've loved.
I mean, I am very in tune with popular music. I mean, I can, you know, I know a lot about popular music, but I have a lot of interests that are not so popular.
I know it doesn't mean a lot to this crowd, but I think the fact that I know a lot about retro gaming is pretty damn niche.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I know a lot of people who know way more than I do. They're Rain Men of retro gaming. But the thing is, like I can be at a or I have been like at a trivia night with work friends, and a question comes up. These were the two most profitable video games, arcade games, before 1982 or something like that. And I just like Pac-Man and Space Invaders. That's it. Pac-Man and Space Invaders, go. That's done. And you know, just being able to do that, and people are like, who knows that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So it normally would be a very niche thing, but we're just happen to be on a video game website.
We happen to be talking to people about that right now. And then of course there's my superpower, which is, and I've demonstrated this many times, almost without fail, I can get be given a very vague description of a Star Trek Next Generation episode, or watch 5 to 10 seconds of any part of a Star Trek Next Generation episode and give you the plot and likely the episode title.
Oh, that is a good one. That's a good thing.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they said something about they were, you know, they'd seen Star Trek before, but they weren't big fans. They were like, yeah, I was watching this one the other day where like it's like the first one where Picard goes on the holodeck and he's dressing up. I'm like, oh, you mean where he's Dixon Hill and he's playing the big goodbye is the name of that episode, and he has to talk to the aliens at the end, and he has to say everything in a very particular manner in order to get them not pissed off at him, and they're like, yeah, that was it. Anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know. That. Yeah, that's what I get for watching too much Star Trek Next Generation in my formative years.
Probably. I think I learned more about that show with the collectible card game than I did by watching it.
That's the reason for a lot of it, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
that and Star Wars collectible card game with all the really minuscule facts.
Oh, I know. Crazy.
Jack Porkins in Red 6. Who else knows that Jack Porkins was in Red 6?
Yeah. Jack Porkins in Red 6 destroys the Death Star. Actually, it was Red 2. I think you blew up the Death Star in that particular game.
No, it was Jack Porkins in Red 6.
Oh, it was Jack Porkins? Oh, yeah, that's right. You get the special bonuses because he was in Red 6.
He didn't blow up the Death Star. He blew up a Star Destroyer due to attrition.
Yes.
And then force drain the crap out of you at the Death Star.
So true. Not one of my favorite memories.
I don't think you wanted to play the game for a while after that.
I was like, this is so stupid. I'm done. Pond Life asks, what do you want most for Christmas?
Christmas.
My 2 front teeth.
Playing with plastic tauntauns.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to get. I have a list that I put together of stuff that I feel like I have no chance of getting. Okay.
Yeah, so I just made a list of like, these are the things that I'm interested in right now, or useful things that would be helpful around the house. If you want to get some of these, go ahead. They might be really expensive, or not so expensive. But here you go. Here's the list. Knock yourself out.
Yeah. It's difficult when you're an adult because you can just buy what you want throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't need anything. I don't
Right.
have a
It's
need for
it's not like when you're a kid. In general, it's the surprises that are really nice.
Yeah,
You know, when
of
someone
course.
genuinely surprises you with something that it might not be the most useful thing necessarily, but it's something that you would appreciate or didn't know that you needed, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. Thank you.
Right. Or just the thoughts that count gifts.
Of
Like as
course.
you get older, the thoughts that count gifts are the best ones. And when you're a kid, the thoughts that count gifts are they're the crappiest ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of funny how you cross that divide. But then, like my wife gets the list and she's like, all of this is like useful stuff around the house. Like, why can't I just get something for you that just you would like? I'm like, I mean, you could, but
I don't know what that would be is the problem.
I don't really understand the concept anymore. So I don't know. I need a compressor. Maybe I'll get a compressor. I have a compressor on the list.
That's sad.
I need an air compressor. Why do I want an air compressor? Because you don't really know all the great things you can do with an air compressor until you don't have an air compressor.
That's true.
You can't blow out your own sprinkler system. You can't inflate tires. You can't, fix a football, on the fly. There's a lot of things you can do with an air compressor. You can't clean out the garage. It's cool.
Man, now you got me wanting an air compressor.
So air compressors are great. Even if you don't get into the stuff like driving nails and stuff, because I don't want it. I want the pure air stuff. I'm not looking for any of the the other stuff.
Welcome to
I want a
Screen
soldering
Live.
iron too. I forgot this. I got
Soldering irons are nice. Yeah, I have a soldering iron, but I
need
need to put it together on a little electronics workbench when I clean this room finally one day.
thing. I gotta do the same thing.
I would like some snow for Christmas.
Oh well, I'm looking at snow right now. You just come right up here, no problem.
Well, it was like
My laser lights look awesome in the front of the house because now the snow is down, so I got all this stuff and it's just like.
Aw, see that's Christmassy.
Oh, it's Christmassy.
It's been warm as crap here.
Oh, speaking of niche interest, and I know I made fun of the Polly Darton
Yes.
Christmas special before, so I want you to fully understand that I did that in almost a moment of insecurity, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because if you're ever in a place where you're just not feeling right about life, and things aren't working all that great, you don't feel like things are kind of clicking for you, all you got to do is turn on the Hallmark Channel.
Oh God.
Probably from the beginning of November all the way until probably January, the end of January, and you can watch really horrible Christmas movies that usually star Candace Cameron Bure, and they have virtually no substance, but the scenery is beautiful, the stories are absolutely laughably stupid, and it's almost it's so hokey, so cheesy that it's like these heartwarming things. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you and Pond Life need to talk.
Yeah, like I enjoy how cheesy and stupid they are. Well, meanwhile, I turn that thing on. My wife enjoys sci-fi movies. She watched the Sci-Fi Channel.
Okay.
I think we talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
She watched the Sci-Fi Channel. If any of you have watched any original movies in the Sci-Fi Channel
Oh God.
in the past 10 years, you know how absolutely awful and hokey those stupid movies are. I mean, they're terrible.
Okay, now you
right?
and Alan need to talk.
Terrible. Horrible, 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 horrible. Right? Yet, as soon as I turn on the Hallmark Channel to watch a cheesy Christmas movie, she goes, "I can't take this. It's too cheesy." I'm like, "You mean this is less cheesy than your garbage sci-fi movies?"
I would much rather watch a crappy Christmas movie than a sci-fi original.
Absolutely, any day of the week. I'm glad to know we at least share that opinion, because I'm like, look, this is great. We can sit here and make fun of this and still feel good. When you watch those crappy sci-fi movies, I make fun of it and I get angry. I want to get up and hurt somebody.
So, one point of order, Luscious Tea in the chat says Jingle All the Way, greatest Christmas movie. Not the greatest, but you know what? It is a damn good Christmas movie.
Yep.
And that is the official Christmas movie of the Clan of the Grey Wolf Marathon Prep.
And
Just
Luscious Tea also asked a question. It says, "Who gives the most underrated performance in the smash holiday hit Jingle All the Way?" That's what the question we need answered right now. Let's not just talk about the movie. Let's get deep here. Who has the best performance in Jingle All the Way?
I think people forget quite often that Phil Hartman is in that movie.
I was going to say Phil Hartman. That was going to be what I was going to say.
Because Howard, these cookies are so good.
Put the cookie down.
Yeah, everyone remembers that part. But the first part where he's mugging for the camera with that full Phil Hartmaniness, so good.
Yeah. He is so Phil Hartman in that movie that I think he's the performance of Jingle All the Way.
Yes, he's the heart and soul of that movie, frankly.
It's definitely not Anakin Skywalker.
It's definitely not Sinbad.
All right. Oh no, Sinbad. All right. Why don't we call it there for the question so that we can go into Westworld, which is what we really want to talk
fine. But I got one more to add okay. Netflix is a bastion of crappy Christmas movies, in case you haven't discovered this.
No, I haven't, but I have the Hallmark Channel, so I don't care.
I mean, yes, I know. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You need to search out on Netflix. There is a Christmas movie, which I'm sure will be noted in the chat shortly.
Yeah.
That I can't recall the name of. But it stars Dean Cain.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. I love this already.
As a small town sheriff in Christmas who needs to rediscover the meaning of Christmas with the help.
I think I might have friggin' seen this.
Oh
no. I just searched for Dean Cain Christmas movie. There's literally like 5 of them.
Oh God.
Okay. I know which one. Here we go. It's
it's like small
Dean
town.
Cain Christmas movie. Here's Nanny for Christmas.
That's not it.
2010. Okay, that's not it.
It's more recent than that.
The 3 Gifts from 2009.
Small Town Christmas, apparently.
A Small Town. Oh yeah. I was watching this the other day.
Oh my God.
I was literally watching Small Town Christmas the other day.
It is so bad. It is a so good it is bad movie.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. They're not good movies. I don't think that.
No.
The other one I found the other day, by the way, there was a Christmas movie that was directed by James Brolin.
What?
Now, because Westworld, right? So James Brolin was in the original Westworld, right?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah.
So I turned I was like I just searched for James Brolin. All of a sudden, this movie pops up, and it comes up as director. So he's in it, but he's a director. It's the stupidest, cheesiest Christmas movie of all time. Like, they must have backed the money truck up, because he's like directed like 10 things in his life, and there he is directing a crappy Christmas movie.
So, sorry, it was Small Town Santa was the name of that movie.
Okay.
But that's a terrible movie. The sets are awful. The acting's terrible. One thing is great about that movie, actually, and that is
a 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh my God! The best thing is the guy who plays Santa. He's one of the best Santas I've ever seen. Very Santa-y.
It's like when you look at the cover of a movie and you realize that, like, they you can see that all of them took their photos individually and they photoshopped them together, but it still looks like the actual photo was taken because they haven't put the appropriate filtering on a DVD cover. That's when you know you've already got a really, really bad movie at hand. This movie looks, I mean, just from the cover, you can tell. But it's just the kind of thing I want to watch on the Hallmark Channel. Like, these people know their market. They know it very well.
Also, I know this is not a Hallmark movie, but if you ever see a movie called Happy Christmas that has Anna Kendrick and Lena Dunham in it, just say no. It's terrible.
Yeah. Anything with Lena Dunham.
Don't even try.
Never, ever stomach. It's just not going to happen.
It makes my heart sad, and I love me some Anna Kendrick, but I couldn't stomach it. So, anyway. All right. So
if you folks out there are trying to avoid spoilers or have never seen an episode of Westworld,
you can. Good night.
Yeah, good night to you, because we can't avoid. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We can't avoid talking about Westworld in great depth, just because the 10th and final episode for the first season just aired. We're dying to talk about it. This is a cold open show. You and I have not discussed it at all to this point.
Nope.
And we need to do so. So for all of you out there, you have been warned. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds here. just stop listening or get the heck out. All right. We've already done the questions. So, all right, you've been warned. All right. Let's talk about Westworld.
Yeah, so I finally saw the movie.
You watched it
over Thanksgiving? It's so bad. It's so bad. It's like a proto slasher flick, actually.
I can absolutely see that.
I forgot how much of the movie is basically just Yul Brynner chasing around Dick Stronger. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who really should not have been the lead in this movie. You had James Brolin in this movie, and he dies halfway through. I'm like, what's going on? And then this guy with a porn stash is just being chased through the desert and then the other worlds. And it
was the early 70s. Everybody had a porn stash.
Yeah, basically. But he did not have the strength to hold that movie for the second half.
But you can, but answer this for me, because my impression of the original movie is that it was incredibly overly ambitious for the time. Is that the way you found it?
Yeah.
You can kind of a high concept that couldn't get there because of budget and
you can see a lot of early ideas for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
In this screenplay, because I confirmed it was a written screenplay by Michael Crichton, who also directed it, which is also probably another problem with the movie.
His directorial debut. Yes.
So,
and to my knowledge, he only kind of directed a few more, because I don't think he directed many more films.
There are certainly worse movies out there, but it's not a good movie. I would not say it's a good movie. I'm sure it was fine for the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, compare it to the show Westworld.
Yes.
It's night and day.
Well, you saw Westworld, but did you see Future World?
Are we
the
talking
1980 sequel?
Oh, no, I forgot that there was a sequel.
So here's what you need to know. I have seen neither of these.
Okay.
But a coworker who has an encyclopedic knowledge of all things geek helped me understand. And who was also alive and was in the demographic to see these movies at the time when they came out. So Future World is much more in line with what Westworld the show is.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's set as like after everything happens that happens at Westworld, they shut that park down and they open up several. They already have several of the parks open. One of them is Future World. Okay. And basically, Westworld the show is kind of an amalgamation of the best ideas of the movie Westworld and the best ideas of the movie Future World all into one.
Okay.
So
I think I might have to search that out then.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give that movie away because except to say that that what's happening with Westworld and then what was happening with Future World had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on in the theme parks. That's what I'll tell you about it.
Interesting.
Which I think still could be an answer
related
of what's going on
in the show. Yes.
Westworld.
So the show.
What's really going on has nothing to do with what's happening in the theme parks.
So we finally completed the first season, which I think we can now say is basically just all set up for what's about to go down.
And at this point, the show is a runaway success. It has been. It's highly touted. It's probably one of the most talked about shows on TV right now.
10 million viewers an episode, which is like Game of Thrones levels.
It is, and I think it will continue to do so as long as they can continue to keep it interesting. I like it because it's a heady show. We talked about why we like it. We talked about what it was. Tell me this: what were your impressions of the final episode?
So I enjoyed it. I appreciate it was 90 minutes long. I made the mistake a few episodes when I burned through the first 7 episodes all in one about a few weeks ago. When I was like, finally decided, okay, I'm going to start watching Westworld. And I watched through all 7, or the 7 at the time. And I was like, oh, wow, that was really good. Hey, you know what? I bet there's a subreddit. I'm going to start reading it.
Yeah.
That was my fatal flaw, because everyone and their mother was talking about, all
the theories and everything that was going
with
on.
the big theory being that William is the Man in Black, and it's just like 2 different time periods it's showing you at the same time. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
And I unfortunately completely killed that surprise for me. So
Did it though?
it did.
See, I don't. It didn't. I disagree with that. For me, it did not kill it.
The transition was handled extraordinarily well.
Oh, incredibly well.
It would have been so much better if I didn't know it was coming.
I can see that.
So I'm staying off of the Westworld subreddit for the second season.
So this is a great point. I'm in the same boat with the subreddit. I'm on a lot of subreddits for a lot of things I like, including Song of Ice and Fire.
And I did not go to the Song of Ice and Fire subreddit while I was watching and catching before I had read the books and caught up on the show, because I didn't want to be spoiled. We talked about this during our spoilers episode. For me, I would rather have the element of surprise or trying to work it out myself.
Of course. Or even better, having what the subreddit offers you, but only in kind of a more tight-knit fashion. So when Lost was on, I'm really glad there wasn't a subreddit, because
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, it was something that we all kind of organically started talking about after the shows were over, which became full-blown conversations that were 3 hours long afterwards. That was interesting to me. And this Westworld does the same thing if you let it. So I'm with you. I'm not going to get the subreddit next time. The Man in Black thing, that didn't really bother me. It was, and it didn't spoil it for me. It just made it kind of what I think it could be, which is kind of a minor element of a much more interesting, grandiose story, right? Yeah. People kept talking about, timelines. Timelines mean something very different in the context of something like Lost, because timelines in physics, right, is different timelines. No, I don't think everybody ever thought that there were different timelines in Westworld, but that there was the same timeline and there were different time frames in that same time, right? So automatically, I already hated that concept because people were abusing the terminology. The idea of, but the episode itself, I really enjoyed. I liked it. Mm-hmm. In retrospect, a lot of it probably doesn't make a lot of sense, or
I'm gonna have to watch the whole series again.
I'm doing the whole thing. I'm absolutely doing the whole series over again. It might even happen twice before the show comes out, since we're gonna be waiting so long. But people have a lot of complaints about the final episode, and I totally understand that too. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, when it ended, I just went, that is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen.
The biggest complaint, honestly, I had with the episode was that the guards at Davos, or whatever the heck the name of the Delos.
Yep.
are laughably bad. They are so bad at stopping the host from running around. Some people are wondering, and I was wondering this too, if they were hosts that were programmed to let them escape.
Right.
Because they're sitting there watching these crazy robots walking around, not even trying to fire at them. Like they're 10 feet away and they're just watching them kill everyone. Like, oh no, what's going on? I'm just going to sit here. I'm dead. It was ridiculous. Strange credulity.
So,
but anyway,
I like what you were talking about though with the setup, right? So let's talk about the setup. So the idea in my mind, and I think, Jonathan Nolan kind of confirmed this thought process, which is that, you talked about Westworld being kind of the proto Jurassic Park, right? Well, the major theme of Jurassic Park is chaos.
Yeah.
Right. So season 1 of Westworld for me was the killing off of the control, or the last vestiges of control, that anybody has over this place.
Yeah.
Ford has the ultimate control, because he can, just with his mind, or his, a move of his hand, he can, change the entire scope of how these things react and act toward each other, right? There's other forms of control, like the Delos Corporation. They have control. What episode 10 did was it destroyed the last vestiges of that control, and now I think everything forward is going to be about the chaos that ensues after that control is lost, which is exactly what Jurassic Park is about, right?
Yes.
So what do you think the chaos is going to look like?
That's the interesting thing. Um,
Did you do any of the alternate reality game stuff after the?
I looked mildly into it. It was kind of interesting. So
Yeah.
all I know, well, obviously second season's coming in 2018. I didn't confirm this. I saw that there was going to be a Samurai World
Well,
series.
there's an SW. There's an SW.
Yeah, because they teased that and they showed that in the last episode, which was something what people were thinking because like in the movie there's Future World. Sorry, not
Yeah.
in the movie,
There's
the original movie,
medieval world,
medieval
and there's
world,
Rome world, right.
Roman world,
Right.
and West
And
World. So is there more than one park?
world. Western world.
Right. Sorry. So it's just Westworld in the show,
Right.
but
Which is so interesting, right? I mean, it's
so there is another park, at least one. Samurai World looks like. Wow, how's that going to fit into everything? And that's really curious. That's what I mean. It's like this is really its own whole self-contained story, or a prelude, even this whole season to everything changing in the next season. Like you said, the vestiges of control really are gone.
yeah.
What does that mean for everything? I don't know. Is it going to be the hosts kind of trying to figure out what their place is?
Yeah.
Because once they kill each other now, they can't. The humans aren't going to pick them up and clean them up and send them back out. They're going to be more human-like than they were before. So how do they deal with that?
But they probably do maintain the ability to reproduce. So there's always that.
Yeah.
Well, as long as there's raw materials. But even then, right? Here's what I think. I mean, I think that what these with consciousness, there is. I mean, consciousness is kind of an overused concept in the show. It really is. And Ford even says, like, what's the big deal? Consciousness. Call it whatever the hell you want, right? It's not important. What's important is that we're here to tell stories. We're here to do what we're here to do. And this whole concept of consciousness also comes with potentially, and we see this in Maeve, the Maeve character, a different concept called self-interest. Mm-hmm. When you introduce self-interest into a system where there's multiple entities at work, all of a sudden your own interests might be very different or even contradictory to the interests of others. So I think it might be interesting to see a almost human-like society develop among these robots,
right,
as they try to figure out or try to bring stability to the chaos that ensues after this control's been lost.
And how do certain characters fit into that? Like Ed Harris, the Man in Black, he was shot,
and then was loving life,
and he was excited that he was feeling something, that the robots were feeling something.
Yes.
I guarantee he is not going to be dead at the beginning of the next season, even though he was just shot in the freaking arm. Yeah. The real big question to me is Ford really dead?
Ford is dead.
Well, hold on.
But
there's two options. Well, maybe there's more. Who knows? Here's two options, as I say, three options. One, he's dead. That's it.
Yeah.
But when the security person, I can't remember her name, was killed.
Elsie.
Oh
no, Elsie's not security.
The other
She's
one.
behaved.
Ford was making a robot.
Teresa Cullen. Right. When Teresa Cullen dies, he was making a robot in the old laboratory underneath.
Yes. Now, there's a possibility that was a Ford robot.
Of course.
Now, if that's the case, either...
But I mean, he's still dead.
Well, it's one of three things. Either he's dead, or if he was making a Ford robot, he sent out the Ford robot to die.
Right.
And make it look like he's dead. Yes. Or he actually killed himself and like downloaded his consciousness into the Ford robot so that he could live amongst the hosts as a host. You know.
So, if your question is Anthony Hopkins going to be in season 2? I would say absolutely. I absolutely think.
And I'm very mixed feelings about that because he was phenomenal this season.
He was so good. If he doesn't win every Emmy there is, there is no justice in the world. He's the best. He's the reason the show works. And
it went up against a fairly strong season of Game of Thrones and two of the best episodes in the series. So that's going to be interesting. HBO eating itself in Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
But
I think think so. Ford says that when Chopin and Beethoven died, they never died.
Right.
They just became music. Now, music was their creation.
Aha. Yes.
Ford's creation are these robots.
So
he's not really dying. He's just becoming a robot.
So if he's
that's what I thought he was saying.
If he's still around, that I think is
I think that's the most. I think he'll be Arnold. He'll be Arnold. He will be
like Bernard,
a sentient robot.
He'll be like Bernard
that became alive in Bernard. Correct.
So I think that's the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
Now
here's my question though.
Well, let me just say that I'm excited to have more Anthony Hopkins, especially exploring himself as a host. That'll be fascinating. Yes. I'm also a little sad because that takes away a little bit of the power of Ford killing himself. But anyway,
right.
Go ahead.
So it's clear that Ford. So we now know that Arnold committed suicide by robot, right? Uh-huh. So he programmed Dolores against her own will, even though she did not perceive it this way. Inevitably she did. Ultimately, she did understand this, but she didn't understand this at the time. She was programmed to kill him. Okay.
Was she programmed to kill him?
She was programmed to kill Arnold. That we know.
Okay, sorry.
That we
Arnold,
know.
Yes.
That we know. What I'm asking you is, was she programmed to kill Ford?
No.
Or did she choose to kill Ford?
I mean, I guess you could interpret it either way, but I think the evidence definitely leans toward that was basically her first true act of her own.
I agree with you, but how would Ford have been so knowledgeable to know that that's what she was going to do?
I feel he probably thinks he knows them well enough to be like, all right, well, now that she has
the
self-awareness
sequence he put in her,
he's
for
like
her to be lying with Teddy on the beach with the lights on them through all this experience was going to produce enough of a strain on her idea, her consciousness, that she would rise up above it all and decide to kill him.
I think he just kind of assumed that's what she would do because why not? That would be the most logical outcome, I assume.
In other words, it would be the last act of a god that created things in a sequence, not in a because of active agency. Right? I mean, Ford in this world is God of sorts, right? And he even makes a point about that. So this season, in some ways, is kind of the killing off of the God that created this world. Mm-hmm. That God could have easily programmed Dolores to kill him in that sense, right? But instead chose to set in motion a series of events that he knew would enable her to kill him. So did she actually have free will? I mean, these are the kind of interesting things to me that Westworld opens up. We get to have great questions about consciousness, questions about free will, questions about agency, questions about, enslavement, questions about ethics. That is what Westworld opens up for me and why I think this show is the best show on TV.
Ooh, best show on TV. That's saying a lot. It's definitely up there, but I mean, I'm still loving my Game of Thrones.
I love Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones.
Plus, I mean, we got stuff like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is really great. So,
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Also on CW.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything. Sounds like a winner, though.
It's actually really funny. But anyway.
Yeah. But I think, Westworld in my mind is if it's not the best, it's one of the best.
Oh, certainly.
And off to maybe the best start I've ever seen, because Game of Thrones season 1 had some slow moments in it too. But
I mean, yes, some people still call the first season of Game of Thrones the best. I would say they're wrong, but still.
Yeah, they're totally wrong. It's not Lost. The first season of Lost was the best.
First season Lost might be the best first season of any TV series ever.
I think so too. I could watch that right now in rapid succession and be so happy to watch that show. So yeah, I'm with you. But Westworld is not. So Game of Thrones. So let me back up. One of the reasons I stopped watching a lot of content about Game of Thrones on the internet is because people were trying to make, in my mind, the ridiculous assertion that George Martin's intention in writing these stories was to do something Tolkien-esque, which was to tell a story about the world through fantastic characters, which George Martin himself has said is total BS, right? He has come up with some very interesting, fun, and oftentimes tragic stories, right? But they're in no way supposed to be representative of our society or our culture. He goes through great pains to create different societies and different cultures precisely for that purpose, right? So to me, people out there that are trying to make the point that Game of Thrones is supposed to tell us something about ourselves, that thought process is asinine. Westworld, absolutely, like all good science fiction, changes a couple of elements of reality in order to make points about who we are as a people, or to make a point about the universe. And that's what Westworld is doing. So in my mind, the reason it's the best show out there, in my mind, is because it's so much more than just a really great story. It's something that will promote in you thoughts about all these kinds of themes we just talked about. Game of Thrones doesn't do that.
It is certainly more cerebral. It's a different type of show than Game of Thrones.
Yes,
I think
that's
Game
what
of
I
Thrones is just some really excellent storytelling.
It's incredibly good narrative fiction.
Yes. One thing both of them do amazingly well, and I think you can really only do on HBO, maybe not only on HBO, but HBO has excelled at this lately, is have amazingly well put together set pieces. Very well, like the detail is amazing. The music and the story and the writing and the visuals all combine to just tell this amazing story that completely engrosses you in the world.
Yes.
And that's just, I guess, kept getting struck by that watching Westworld, and it's something that reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones over and over. And that's, yeah, it's just it's awe-inspiring, the whole thing, and it makes you say you can understand. I'm not even mad that it's going to take them till 2018 to finish or get to the next season, because it's like, yeah, this I can totally see why this would take so much time and probably money to put together. So
it's the most expensive show on TV.
Yeah, take your time. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly expensive. The issue for me is, I mean, they're basically making these 10, 11, 12-hour movies. A 2.5-hour movie takes 2 years to make. You know, I think you got to be a little more realistic if you want that kind of shock and incredible writing. Because this, unlike George Martin, right? I mean, they're writing this on the fly. This world is their world to do what they want to do with it. I think the greatest surprise of the season 1 of Westworld was not the Man in Black revelation. It was the thought process that Ford had come to terms with the mistakes that he had made, and was doing what in his mind justice to make up for those mistakes.
The whole motivation of Ford is one of the most intriguing underlying narratives of the season, from doddering old grandfather to bad guy to good guy, depending if you're, I would say most people are sympathetic to the hosts, basically as slaves.
Probably now they are. I'm not so sure that they were throughout the season.
Well, I'm not sure if they will be in the second season. We'll see.
I think you're probably right.
They go. But I mean, regardless, at least someone who goes from grandfather to against the host seemingly to with the host seemingly. It was fascinating turns trying to follow his logic and what he was doing and why. And again, Anthony Hopkins was just amazing in that role. This could wind up being one of his defining roles for such an accomplished actor. That's really saying something.
Yeah, he's amazing. And if you didn't have Anthony Hopkins, you'd have to have a caliber actor on the same level to make this show work. He's the most pivotal, important. Nothing against Evan Rachel Wood, and nothing against Thandie Newton and everybody at James Marsden, right? I mean, all these people in the movie,
Cyclops,
or the movie in the show. Anthony Hopkins made
yeah,
this season. And if it weren't for him and his abilities, I don't think the show ever would have gone anywhere.
Ed Harris did a great job. There's a lot of good acting in this show. A lot of good acting.
It really is. It's phenomenal.
But Anthony Hopkins steals it, I would say.
Anthony Hopkins steals it. And Ed Harris's part near the end of it really did start to come back to it. And I was like, man, this show could use more Ed Harris because he's so good. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to, it's an abundance of wealth with this show. It really is. And I think that will continue as well. I loved the way the season ended, where it basically says, hey, these robots do have agency now, and they can make their decisions, right? So do you think that Maeve, as the show would indicate to us, both directly and indirectly, that her destination was the mainland? She was supposed to get on that train and go back, and that was her programming? Or do you think that there's something deeper here? Ford always seems to be the actual root administrator here, which a lot of people that don't understand technology don't even, in the show, they're not even thinking about that. They're like, oh, this was the programming, and then this was the programming. Like, I've heard people do that kind of stuff, and you just go, oh, my God. No, like, layers of abstraction, people, right? Like, you can have this admin access, or you can have this admin access, right? Ford had this admin access, which means that a lot of people wouldn't even know what he was doing, right? So is Ford's programming to send her back to the mainland and say goodbye, or did Felix totally screw that up by looking up her daughter and giving her the location, and she made a free will choice to get off the train?
Maeve and her actions in the future, and her, if she's truly got her own agency or not, is one of the biggest mysteries I've found.
Yeah.
Or I still have, I should say, about this show.
Or did she rethink about her robot revolution that it seemed like she was moving toward, right? It seemed like she was moving toward
but
a
is
robot
it really
revolution.
a robot revolution of self-thinking robots if she was programmed to do it?
Exactly.
It's unlike Dolores. It's like, what's the true meaning behind that programming in her to get off on and go off to the mainland and do all the things she did? And does she really have her, like I said, her own agency, which I hate using that phrase, but it's true, That's going to be one of the biggest mysteries, I think, in the next season, frankly.
And for me, the just like with Jurassic Park, the stuff that's most interesting, the stuff that's most fun, the stuff I look most forward to, is the stuff about how we got here, untangling the knot that we're presented with when the show begins, right? Mm-hmm. That's the most fun for me. That is the stuff that really makes it great. So I can't wait to see if they're going to expand a little bit on what happened before they opened the park. Because now we know that, 30, 35 years ago, longer, that these two scientists who are two incredible geniuses were working together to try to figure out a way to make artificial intelligence inside of a robot that could be human-like, right? And they needed innovation after innovation. I think of it as almost like a space program to get there, right? And they did that. But everything we know is about Westworld. Mm-hmm. It's not about anything else. So is the Anthony Hopkins character the god of Samurai World too?
I would assume so.
Well, you would assume so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But at the same time, my point is, I feel like any good show, you know why one of the best parts about season 1 of Lost and how it ended? Because it let you know, oh my God, you just went through this entire range of emotions, and the whole time all you saw was this. That's just the tip of the iceberg. This is the iceberg.
Yeah.
Right? What I'm hoping that we get from Westworld moving forward is that everything that we think we know about Westworld is just the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. Not only what's going on outside the park, but what's going on inside the other parks.
Exactly.
as in, maybe there is another Ford who was the samurai world, who is the medieval world person. And those people were trying to develop different kinds of technology. And potentially now we have a war between worlds of robots that have their own self-interest or side with their own kind from their own kind of worlds. And doesn't that tell us an interesting story about, continents and humankind? And I think there's a lot of different ways they could go, right?
Yes. And I think it'll be fast. There's a lot more for the well to be tapped, I think, here. So
I think it is the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing here. So Westworld, I found incredibly intriguing. I have to watch it again. It's going to have to happen.
Yes, agreed.
Too many thick things to kind of unpack, and this time I will ignore the subreddit. Although a lot of cool things do come out of subreddit. Like my desktop right now, I was saying the first time I watched the intro, I want a still shot of the figure on top of the horse.
Yeah, with the firing the gun.
Right, and someone made that, and I have it on my. But I only have that because of the Westworld subreddit.
Yeah.
Sub point two. I've become really interested again in the music of Radiohead because of Westworld. Like I'm going back and listening to all my old Radiohead albums. So it's a great. That was a great little Easter egg that they threw in there. Just all these great references to great 90s music or late 80s music in the case of The Cure. All right. Well, this truly was a hodgepodge freeform episode.
It very much was.
We did the cold open. So, yeah, well, you did the intro. I guess I'll do the outro here. So, folks, thanks for hanging with us through our technical difficulties at the beginning and through the cold open episode, the long rumored and, never attempted cold open episode. By the way, I have a bevy of people asking me about the RSS feed and iTunes and all this stuff. Are we up to date to your people actually get the newest episodes?
We are not.
Follow us?
We are not.
Okay.
I'll get on that.
Is that something? Okay. All right.
That's a thing.
Are you committing to that the way that you committed to watch Twin Peaks? Or are you committing to that like you're actually going to do it?
No, I actually mean it this time.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, you can follow along with us there. We're going to hopefully get some of that stuff updated. But this is a hodgepodge episode. Maybe you love this. Maybe you think this is terrible. Maybe you think we need to get back to our original format here and live. And that's probably what we'll do for next time anyway.
Well, yeah. But let us know.
But let us know if you like this format. If you like us just kind of aimlessly talking about stuff that's new and around. That's fine too. We'll do that too. Okay, folks. Thanks for hanging with us for
2 hours.
2 hours now.
Yep.
That's the other reason why these long episodes probably can't continue to happen. But anyway, thanks for hanging with us. It was great to have you all here for a cold open episode, the 87th episode of the Echo Screen Live, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf.
We'll be back. I think we're going to take a Christmas break. So
probably something like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say we'll be back on the 4th of December, of January. Wednesday, the 4th of January, if that works for you.
Yeah, works for me.
All right, so we'll see you guys in 2017.
Yes. So thank you for joining us for the first year of the biweekly in 2016. We'll see you back in 2017 with the new biweekly format. Great to see you all. Have a wonderful holiday season to all of you. For Rue, I am the Commodore for the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button. Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for the year.
I don't know.
It's good.
I think we got to figure out a better way to handle some of these free flowing conversations. They just go on and on and on. Sometimes
how about suspend all motor functions? Yeah, see, that works. All right. 2016 out.